Welcome to Tea with Tanya. I'm your host, Tanya Ambrose, an average millennial navigating life as a maternal health professional, nonprofit founder, and grad student. Join me in the tea tasting room where we spill the tea on finding balance and promoting positive living while doing it all. Hey friend, welcome back to another episode of Tea with Tanya. And as we are continuing the journey as it relates to the re-releasing of just a few episodes while we navigate this holiday season, I'm releasing another episode which is all about living with intention. Now, as we are continuing our health and wellness journey as it relates to personal growth, self-discovery, we are going to be revisiting this timeless topic. And I hope it continues to resonate with you. If you're new here, I hope it's able to resonate with you. Or if you're re-listening and it's been a while since you've heard this episode, I hope you're able to take away something from this. And we're talking about living with intention. And when we talk about living with intention, it's more than just a catchphrase or just something that we're saying because we want to be cool or because the popular kids are saying. It's really the right way, or it's a way of life. So in this episode, I am sharing some inspiration as it relates to why I even started this podcast. So if you're re-listening this, you'll see where I started from to even where I am now, based on the last episode you would have listened prior to this. And I am giving you some tips and tricks and some suggestions as to how you can live an intentional life. When I talk about growth on the podcast, it's really and truly how I try to live my life. We talk about making actionable steps and goals and these different things, but we also have to live with intentions. When we talk about our daily rituals, part of our daily rituals mean living with intention, doing everything in your life for a reason, for a purpose, So as we re-listen this episode, think about how you can find a deeper meaning and purpose for your life. I hope it helps you on your self-discovery journey. So hey everyone, welcome to Season 1, Episode 1 of the Tea with Tanya podcast. As I'm saying these words, I can't believe I'm actually recording my first podcast episode. This has been a goal of mine and it is now a reality, and for that I am truly grateful. Me recording this episode, me actually having a podcast, stepping into the podcast world, is me stepping out of my comfort zone for sure. I'm happy and excited to bring you guys on this journey, and I want to thank you guys in advance for tuning in. So for this episode, I've decided to tell you a little bit about myself, why I started this podcast, what you can expect, and I also want to touch a little bit on my word for the year, or my word or my mantra for the year, that is. But I want to talk about how much it means to me and why I chose this year and why I'm making small actionable steps to be a better person in life. So let's get into it. Who am I? Fun fact about me. I was born in England, but I grew up in this small Caribbean island called Antigua. And by small, I mean, we are 108 square miles, but we do have 365 beaches. And that's something that we brag about. We have a beach for every day of the year. It doesn't get much better than that. I currently live in Atlanta, Georgia. One other fun fact about me before I continue. I graduated last May, magna cum laude, with my Bachelor of Science in Public Health. And I'm currently in the process of, starting grad school with my master's in public health and my nursing, but that's something that I'll talk about in another episode. I started this podcast because last summer I had my first speaking engagement ever. When you're in school, you do group projects, so you have to present your project to your peers, but this one was something outside of school, and I was given the opportunity to speak to a group of high school seniors and undergrad freshmen, and I did my presentation on health disparities in today's society or in our country. And, the feedback was amazing, guys, that I felt like I was unstoppable. I was like, wow, little old me had my first public speaking engagement. People were interacting. The feedback has been awesome. What can I do with this newfound confidence? And I was listening to one of my, because I do listen to a lot of podcasts. So it was only natural that I even created my own, because I am a avid podcast listener. And I was listening to one of my favorite podcast people, and I heard that they decided to go live on Instagram at one point to test the waters, and I got that idea. I was like, my newfound confidence with me being a speaker now, What can I do to capitalize off of my confidence? And I'm like, you know what? Okay, let me try the Instagram live route as a content creator, because as you guys know, I am a content creator as well. Going live is something that many of the influencers or the big time content creators, they'll oftentimes tell you, you need to be utilizing every feature on the platform. And I've been shy because I don't like showing my face. So again, it's only natural that I have a podcast where I can just talk into a mic and not show my face. And I'm like, you know what? Let me try this Instagram live and see what would become of it. And I decided to call it Tea with Tanya because, I am a tea lover. So guys, if you have any tea recommendation, please let me know. But, I am a tea lover and my name is Tanya. It was like a play on words. So it was only fitting that I did call it Tea with Tanya. And guys, let me tell you, the feedback, for those of you listening, if you follow me on Instagram, even if you don't, for those of you listening, the feedback has been great. Like from that, everyone can say, oh, this should be a podcast. We've had, I've had many amazing guests. We spoke about, sexual health, women's health, mental health, and Christianity. We spoke about life after graduation, side hustles, how is it being a content creator, and many other public health topics. And let me tell you guys, it has been amazing. I was someone who struggled with an insecurity. Like, I hate I shouldn't say hate, but I didn't really like my speaking voice for some reason. And as I mentioned, I grew up in the Caribbean, so I have an island accent. And, you live in the US, you have to sometimes code switch to make sure that, you're speaking so people can understand you or just so you can fit in. And, sometimes, guys, I'm going to tell you this, I do get tired of code switching, but we'll talk about that too soon. But I am who I am. I can only be me. I have an accent. You're going to have to accept the fact that I have an accent and keep it moving. So for me recording this podcast, me going live prior to even starting my podcast, it was teaching me to be confident in who I am and to love my voice more and more. So here I am. Even though I'm recording this first episode, I am still in the process of growing to like my voice more and more and more. Yes, I'm excited to be in this podcast world. Like we said in the intro, my goal is to educate and empower, to promote positive living because I'm all about positivity. But we're going to do this all while having fun because let me tell you, we got to bring the fun in it. We're going to have fun. It's called Tea with Tanya. As you know, there are many different flavors or types of tea. So there will be a variety of topics that we're going to touch on. Some that may be uncomfortable, some that's going to be fun, it's going to make you laugh. We're going to do it all. I'm going to be very intentional with what I do with this podcast. And it's funny that I did say I'm going to be intentional with my podcast because, guys, my word or my mantra for 2021 is to be intentional with everything that I do. So that's what I want to talk about for the rest of this episode is what it's like, to what it means to be intentional. Why does it matter? All these different things. Because I feel like it seems to me that, we're all talking about intentional living lately. What does it really mean? Why does it matter to us? And I found something I was reading online a few days ago, which I'm not really quoting directly, so bear with me. It says living with intention means to live on purpose, to go through life making decisions for ourselves, not having to explain why we're doing certain things. And let me tell you guys, ever since I decided to make that bold step to be intentional, especially in my adult life, to be intentional with what I do or with everything that I do, I've seen some positive changes. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes, I tend to fall off the wagon and do things that I should not do. But I have seen changes when I make my mind up rather to be intentional with what I'm doing. We need to pay attention to what it is or what it would be like to live with intention. Let me tell you guys before I continue, living with intention can be challenging. We have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable when it comes to making changes. Change is not always that good. It can be good, but you know what? It is hard and it can be challenging. But what is intentional living? Intentional living is all about examining your why. Ever since I started therapy, and we'll talk about that again too, one of the biggest reasons why I started therapy is because I wanted answers as to why I was doing the things that I did or I was doing, So intentional living is about examining your why. We got to focus and find the things that, what makes us happy. So when you're thinking about your why, ask yourself these questions, why are you friends? Your friends, put it that way. Why did you choose your career or job? Why did you choose to go to college? Why did you choose to study this in college? Why are you with your partner? Why are you working X amount of hours? Why did you buy your latest purchase? Because for me, sometimes I buy things and I'm like, girl, when I get home, like, why did I buy this? Did I really need it? So when you ask yourself these questions and you answer them, are they clear? Do you feel good about your answers? So I feel like, for me, I've had to answer some hard questions because, again, I was doing things over and over, making certain decisions that were detrimental to me and my mental health, or just maybe financially or mentally sometimes. And, I will also want to point out that when it comes to living with intention or intentional living, we're not going to always have everything figured out. And that's something that I have had to learn, because I feel like, oh yeah, I'm going to be intentional. I'm going to live my life. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to protect my peace. I'm going to live my life a particular way where, nobody can flow up. But, I thought I was supposed to have everything figured out overnight. And my friends, let me tell you, that's a big no-no. Living intentional is not about having everything figured out, but it does mean, and I've come to learn and understand that it does mean having a purpose behind our actions. Because let me tell you, for me, I like to help people. I like to be there for people. I like to see other people happy. But there have been moments where I've been giving, or pouring into others and have left myself empty, left myself feeling sad, or me asking why. Why did I do this? Why did I do that? And I didn't have an actual answer. I didn't have a clear answer as to why I made or did certain actions. So when you talk about intentional living, it's not about having everything figured out, but, we have a purpose behind our actions. We're trying to better ourselves. When it comes to intentional living, I've come to learn everything starts with our vision and our core values. Like, for me, I'm all about taking care of the people that I love, being honest, learning, continuous learning, to be free, to be at peace. That's one of my core values, to be at peace. We all have our different core values, but these core values should be what drive us to live intentional in our lives. We also have to accept responsibility, guys, when it comes to living intentional. Knowing that we have the power to bring about change. We have the power to change who we are. Because let me tell you guys, like I said, I'm the type of person that I've had my heart broken many times. Not romantically, but, with friends, or even the decisions that I've chosen to make, or I chose to make, and then, I didn't have an answer. Like, Tanya, what was your reason for making this decision? What was your reason for doing this? And more often than not, I never had an answer. I was always finding an excuse, or I just couldn't answer. And if I can't answer as to why I'm doing something, then that's, I feel like we have a problem there. I feel like we have a problem if we're not able to accept responsibility or realize that we have the ability and the power to change. Life is not easy. Life is going to be ups and downs. We're going to face criticism. There's going to be so many different things, but we do have the power to change how we react, how we allow people to treat us as well. Because that's something that I'm very intentional with. I have a saying that I really love. Well, it's not my saying, but, do unto others as would have them do unto you. I'm going to make this step to treat someone how I want to be treated. And more often than not, it's not always reciprocated. But, again, we live in a world where everything is not going to always be 50-50. There are no right or wrong answers when it comes to living intention. But, have a plan, have a vision, and think about the life you want to live. I have a funny joke that I want to share with you guys. Like, because many of us in today's society, we're good at planning, but sometimes we fail or we lack the execution part of our planning. And funny story, my two younger sisters, they're younger than me, though. They're younger than me, but they're 18 and 22. And, we're talking about creating content and doing certain things, eating healthy, so many different goals we were talking about. And my sister, she joked and she was like, if it's one thing, I think we'll make a good planners one day in life, because all we do is plan. We lack the discipline to execute. And when she said that, I started laughing, not laughing because she was funny, but I was like, wow, you're driving us. Because, it is true. Many of us, we tend to plan, but we lack the execution portion of our planning. And that was us, because I was just laughing. I was like, wow, you are right. Because we were raised to not follow through. We have parents, my father, my mom, their work ethic was unmatched. And it's like, why are we here being mediocre? Why are we here just planning but not executing? That's a part of intentional living for me. Yes, I'm going to plan something, but I have to follow through and execute. And I feel like when we don't follow through, it's like a lack of trust. When we say we want to do something and, we need more discipline. So the solution for that, when it comes to wanting to live intentional, wanting to put the action behind our plans or our goals, is to really and truly set realistic plans or set realistic goals. We can have a 10-year plan, a 5-year plan, but it starts with setting realistic goals and taking accountability for ourselves. We don't need to know the whole plan, put it that way. Because sometimes, for me, I'm the kind of person I want to know, okay, from A to Z. But sometimes you don't need to know the whole plan or the whole path to get to that plan. Because again, guys, change is not going to come overnight, but we have to be intentional daily. That's my thing. If you get up, okay, I'm going to accomplish 5 tasks today. Let me see what small actionable steps I can take for me to accomplish these tasks. I think many of us, including myself, we tend to think big. We tend to think, okay, now we have to go through the hardest way to accomplishing one of our goals. And that's not the case. When it comes to living intentional, it's living a better, balanced life full of meaning and purpose. Think about the things you engage in. Are they worthwhile to you? Are they pleasing to you? Are they bringing you any form of joy? Are you bettering yourself? These are different things when it comes to living intentional. It increases your self-awareness. That's something I've really experienced and I'm still going through. Intentional living makes you happy. When it comes to living with purpose, when it comes to you being intentional, like for me, I'm intentional with saying no. Like no is a complete sentence. I've said it before out loud, but I've never actually believed it. So I've been intentional with my answer. Like, you know what? Tanya, can you do something for me? No, I don't have the capacity to do it right now. And I'm just going to say no. I'm not going to explain my no either. I'm being intentional with what I'm giving my time to. So, when you think about being intentional, think about activities that you can choose that matter to you. Ask yourself, what's most important? Know your priorities. Enjoy the moment. That's a big thing, because sometimes many of us get so used to being on the go, on to the next, that we don't take that time to enjoy the moment that we're in. Work towards the betterment of yourself. Be mindful. So that's what I do want to wrap up here when I'm saying, guys, as far as when it comes to intentional living, there's no right or wrong answer. Ask yourself, examine your why. Why do you do certain things? Why do you make certain decisions? Like, think about, why do you have the friends that you have? Why do you have the job? Why did you buy what you buy? Why do you live a particular life, the life that you're living now? If you can't have a clear and concise answer for that, then, it's definitely going to be time to reevaluate. Intentional living is not about having everything figured out. It's about having a purpose behind your actions. Think about your core values and your vision. Where do you see your life going? Where do you want your life to be? Pay attention to what it could be like to live with intention. Accept responsibility for the things that you're doing. Standing in your truth. That's a big, big, big thing. And, before I go, I do want to say that living intentional or intentional living is a continuous process. It's not going to happen overnight. No, it's a continuous process, day in, day out. There's no finish line. It's a constant communication with ourselves, deciding, okay, this is what fulfills me. This is my purpose. Let me continue taking these actionable steps over and over and over for me to better myself and live in that betterment, if that makes sense. So guys, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to like, share, subscribe to my podcast. Make sure you share it on social media and tag me. I want to see you guys listening to today's episode. And I hope today's episode was able to wet your whistle a little bit. And I'm smiling because I'm saying wet your whistle. You can tell I have an old soul because I haven't heard that phrase in so long. But I hope it was able to wet your whistle a little bit, give you a peep into what's going to happen. We have lots more in store for you. I'm going to have amazing guests. I'm going to have other solo episodes where I'm just, talking my truth, being who I am. So I do, again, thank you for listening to Season 1, Episode 1. And remember, guys, that episode goes live every first and third Tuesday. So I'll see you on the next episode. Have a good day. And I'll see you in the tea tasting next time. Bye, guys. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Tea with Tanya. If you like this episode, be sure to share it with a friend. Don't forget to follow on Instagram at Tea with Tanya Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the weekly Tea Talk newsletter. And of course, rate on Apple or Spotify and subscribe wherever you listen. See you next time. I love you for listening.